be talking about creating, mostly creating graphics for displaying on your page as the header image and for slideshows. Those are going to be our main goals today. And if we have some questions about some other things, we'll be happy to answer them. Today we're going to be working mostly in Photoshop, and then we'll jump over to web browser and launch Sitecore, where we'll be handling our interacting with the Sitecore tool to add those graphics and stuff in a demo page. Feel free to follow along at your own pace at your desk, or we're recording this, so you'll be able to review this at a later time and then get to do it definitely at your own pace instead of mine. So to begin, I'm going to jump on over to Photoshop and just kind of show you what we're going to be working on here. This is our first example of a typical slideshow image. We have our graphic image there, our homecoming and text frame area here, and we're going to just be creating something that looks very similar to that today for our needs. So I'm going to actually start off by creating a new document in Photoshop. Now, if you don't have Photoshop currently installed on your computer, you'll be able to find that in the LAN desk deployment, and that will allow you to create a edit graphics on your desktop as needed. So I'm going to just call this one demo, give it a name. For the size here, I'm going to change it to pixels. And for the width, I'm going to do 950. For all of our slideshows in Sitecore, the slideshows are 950 and can be basically any height that you need. So 300 is usually a good size. 350, I would not go above that. The other thing to think about too is if you are creating a slideshow on one page but are going to have a header image on another, the header image width is 980. And the reason I bring that up is that if you want to reuse the same graphics or images in a slideshow and then also on another page, I would just go ahead and stick with the 980 width for all the graphics. The slideshow will go ahead and shrink it down, but that way you can just save time and reuse the graphics in different areas within Sitecore. So let's go ahead then, based on that, and leave the width at 980. I'm going to change my height to be 300 for this case, in this instance. And then for the resolution, it's, we'll put in 72 pixels per inch. All right. I'll go ahead and click OK. And now we have a fresh blank slate to work with. One of the things I want to go ahead and though is I'm going to be drawing some grid lines and stuff over. I would find it very helpful to be able to see some rulers. So to do that, if you go to View, Rulers, you'll bring up these rulers here, and then you can go ahead and drag these over. Now, what's really nice is Photoshop, as you drag, will automatically snap in the center. Did you see that? Right there. It snaps right to the center. If I bring one down here, it'll do the same thing. It'll snap right in the middle of the document for you. All right, so now I'm going to grab my shape tool over here, and where's the one I want? There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a different color. Let's just choose a red here. And I actually, what I just did was just gave a single click. And what you'll notice, it'll give you a dialog box where you can actually type in the width and the height for your box. I'm going to actually want it to be square. And I already know my height is 300, so I can actually just type that in right there. So I can just type in 300 by 300, click OK, or press Enter on the keyboard, and I'll get that box, which I can then click on my Move tool and just drag it over, and it will automatically snap to that corner. Now, the other way I can do that, and it's not as accurate, I'm just going to turn that off because I am going to want that one, is click on the shape tool here and I can click and drag across. And if I hold down the shift key, it'll keep it in a 1-to-1 proportion. So the ratio will say 1-to-1 and everything will say in proportion. Just 2 ways to do it. All right, so I'm going to turn that one back on. And what I want to do is go ahead and add some text for this box here. I'm going to actually just cheat though. I'm going to come over to my first slide here with my text tool. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy that text, then come back over to my slide. So I have some text in my clipboard. So if you had a Word document or an email where somebody said, hey, can you create a slide with this information? You can go ahead and just copy that and get that in your clipboard. And then I'm going to come over here to the corner. And I'm using my ruler here to see these guys here and here. When I move my cursor, you can actually see where it's going to start. I'm going to just move it right to 1/4 inch on both, right there and there. And then I'm just going to click and drag down. Oops. Cancel text. Try that again. Oh, it's wanting to do it for the box. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lock that layer. There we go. What it's trying to do is activate that box, and I don't want to do that. I want to do the text on top of the box, not in the box. So I lock the layer over here by just clicking the little lock icon. And when I come back over to Photoshop here, over to my main window, get that to where I want it, right there, and just click and drag. Again, if I hold down the Shift key, it'll keep it in a 1-to-1. And just drag that right about a little bit big, right there. And now I can go ahead and paste in my text there. Great, all nicely formatted up already. Photoshop will go ahead and carry over any rich text formatting. So if you have bold or font sizes, it will actually bring that over. So it actually brought that in from where I copied in the previous document. All right, so I have some information about homecoming here. Now in my sample one, I had this image of the Dallas Hall Rotunda and the stained glass. Doesn't really say homecoming to me. So what I want to do is probably put in a different photo that would work a little bit better. And I have a couple here on my desktop. And I have a couple of Dallas Hall, and I have this one of one of the older games there. And I think, yeah, one of those will work. And I should be able to click this and just drag it right in to my document. There we go. So it's going to go ahead and place that in. I'm going to go ahead and move this over to the other side. And then again, if I hold down my Shift key, it'll keep everything in proportion. I'm going to click and drag this out. And it can be, I'm going to go ahead and cover up a little bit of the red there. We'll fix that in a minute. And just holding down my Shift key and using my arrow keys, I can move this up in low increments. So I want to get the crowd of people on the lawn. Yeah, right about there. And to apply those changes, I just press Enter on the keyboard. There we go. Now I want to go ahead and move that red rectangle, on top of the here, and then move the text on top of that. There we go. Now the red for that block is really red. It's not an SMU red or anything like that. But what I want to do is kind of match it to something in here in this picture. And I like this blue here that's on the top of these tents. So I'm going to click my little eyedropper. And I'm going to go ahead and sample that color. Right now it's set to a point sample. Oops. Make sure I'm not selected on my text. There we go. Right now it's on a point sample, and what I want to do is do maybe a 5x5 average. And pick that blue there, and you'll now see that this is my foreground color. So if I do a Option or Alt on Windows and the backspace key, or delete, oh, I have it locked. Unlock it to do that. So if I do the Alt backspace or Option delete on the Mac, it will automatically use that foreground color and fill in that blue. All right, so we have the first slide here all done. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And since I named it when I first started, you'll see that it's automatically populated it with the name that I gave my document. So I'm going to go ahead and just click Save. Go ahead and click OK. All right, so we have the first slide. Now we can go ahead and create a new slide. The nice thing is we have everything here to kind of get us started. So to create the next one, I'm going to do this. I'm going to I'm going to duplicate my rectangle by clicking it and just dragging it down onto the new icon down here, the new layer icon. It will automatically duplicate that. And I'm going to want to take my text. I want some new text, so I'm going to duplicate that layer too. And I can go ahead and turn off those other ones. And this one's going to just be simple slide 2. And for the image here, so I already have that first image there. If I right-click on this image, actually, let's duplicate that so we can keep that there. I like being non-destructive. So if I make a change and I want to change it back, I have the original still there. I just have it turned off. Now, since we went ahead and we drag and drop this into Photoshop, it automatically created what is called a smart layer or smart object. And the benefit of that is it kind of links to that file. And so if I right click on this layer, I can say read link to file, and I can actually point this to a different file. Or I can say replace contents, and so I can replace it with either one of these will get you the same place. So if I go to my desktop, to my slideshow folder that I have here, I can choose another one of these images and say place, and it'll replace it in that same area. So now I can just go ahead and move that down a little bit. Actually, we want the plants there. All right. And let's go ahead and match this color to something over here in our image. So I'm going to click on the eyedropper, and I'm just going to try to sample the red that's in these plants there. There we go. And come back to my new rectangle here. And again, I can do Alt backspace or Option delete to fill with that foreground color. There we go. And let's do this one more time. So we have 3 slides for our slideshow. So again, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this one. Duplicate the slide 2 text. This is now slide 3. It's kind of weird why that video's flicking out though. So not 20. So let's do that. Might not. Doesn't seem to like my choice of fonts there. So got that, and let's go ahead and duplicate that one too. And I'm just going to go ahead and replace the contents on that one with this last quad image here. There we go. Go ahead and move that down so we can get all of the rotunda in there. And let's go ahead and change the color. Oh, we need to duplicate that rectangle. Oh, we did do the, and we're going to sample the, let's do the orange and the bricks here. There we go. Again, one more time, it's Alt Backspace or Option Delete to fill with that foreground color. All right, so I now have, let's try, I'm going to go for this, yeah, the darker. Ooh, that's a terrible orange there. Let's try those ones. There we go. All right. So nice kind of little pumpkin spice orange here. Okay, so I have now my 3 slides. I'm going to go ahead and save this document so I don't lose any changes. You know, good rule of thumb, save and save often. So let's go ahead and export these out. So I'm going to go ahead and do a export. Now, the newer version of Photoshop has a very nice quick export. It basically just saves everything off as a ping image. You don't even have to do anything. It just will do 1, 2, 3, 4. I just kind of like to check and see if that is the most efficient one to save out. So I'm going to go back to the old save for web. And if you're using an older version of Photoshop, the Save for Web will be under an option there right in your menu. A little easier to find. So right now, this JPEG image is less than 100K versus if I just did a whole ping, which is 4 times that size. So significantly larger file size. So I'm going to go ahead and just choose the JPEG high here. I'm going to save this off, and this is going to be put into my desktop and go to my Sitecore slideshow. I'm going to put it into this main folder here. I'm just going to call this one Demo 1, or sorry, Demo 3, because that's what slide we're on. There we go. Okay, and then turn off that one, turn on the others. Oh, yeah. So what I did when I did the replace content, since I duplicated those layers, it's each one of those layers is referencing the original file. And so the first one, when I copied that, is pointing to the new file. And then when I duplicated it and then said, hey, let's point this one to the second file, what happened was it said, okay, in all the case of this layer, let's replace the contents. So that when I was saying earlier that, oh, we can just change the one, we can, but what we want to do is, in that case, yes, do the relink to file and choose the other file. So I'm going to choose the this one here. Is that the, yeah, that's the one, and place that in. There we go. Then I can go ahead and move this back up. Oops. I guess that is where it was. All right, and go ahead and turn on the blue. There we go for slide 2. Oh, that's our homecoming, sorry. So that should be the homecoming. Save for web, JPEG high, hit save. Okay, so this is going to be demo 1. And now let's go ahead and this last one here, click on that and relink that one. And that was this one here. And then we have the lovely red there. All right, let's get those all out. Okay. All right, so we have those 3 saved. And so those are now all ready for us to bring into Photoshop and have as our slideshow. While we're in Photoshop, let's go ahead and talk about some other things. So I'm going to go ahead and close these. And I'm going to go ahead and close this window. Close the wrong thing there for a second. Okay. I don't need to save that. I can go ahead and close that one. Say no. All right. So what if we had the instance where we have all these images? Open up a couple of these. Okay, so we have a bunch of these images that all need to be opened in Photoshop and create a header image. And so a header image in Sitecore would be that image. Let me go ahead and bring up a web browser. That might be a little easier to show you. And so this is a slideshow, what we have here. Okay, and then if we go to one of these see, I think Anthropology also has a slideshow. No. So theirs is a header image, or no, theirs is a slideshow too. Programs. Another slideshow. There we go. One with a header image. All right, so this one's just a header image, and so as you can see, it goes all the way to the edges here, and then so this would appear on all the pages underneath this section. So you have a couple of graphics that you want to create in Photoshop to have for your header images, such as this Department of English here. I'm going to go ahead and copy that text so I can just paste that in later. So in Photoshop, if I want to do that, I can come over to my crop tool. And the nice thing is I know the size I want, which is 980 wide. Notice I'm not putting any pixels or anything in there. I'm just doing a ratio and by 300. And what they'll give me is my box. And so that's my crop box, which I can now move around. And I extend it over here. I'll actually put in white pixels in this space here. If I keep it over here, white pixels over here. So you just want to keep it centered on this. And then if you hold down the shift key, you can drag this up and down to where you want it. And about right there is perfect. Now, if I'm going to be doing a bunch of these, I can actually save this ratio right here and say new crop preset. And I can give it a name and I can call it something like Sitecore header image. So now anytime I need to crop something or make an image that fits, I can just pull that up. So there's my first image. Now, if I opened up a different one, say this one here, it's a vertical image and we're looking for a very wide landscape image for our Sitecore headers, but same thing applies. I can move this to where I want it and still make that work with Sitecore because I already have that header image cropped in there. So I can actually go through and do a whole bunch of these at once and get them all ready for my site. Now this one's pretty large. Is a nice, good size, reasonable size. The 300 there. If you need to make it bigger, like 350, you can do that. If you like them nice and narrow, you can actually do that too. Just change the ratio of how big. So the nice thing is it will automatically crop to the right proportions for your Sitecore header. And when we save this out to using the Save for Web, that's when we'll say, okay, let's go ahead and make this the web size. So I'm going to go ahead and close this first one, or second one here. Let's go back to that first one. of the, oh, I need to apply my crop there. There we go. And I can close that window. No. All right. So I have this first image here. I'm going to create a nice header image. I already have it cropped to where I want it. Now let's go ahead and add some text over it. I can do that by clicking on the T in the type tool. I'm going to want it centered, so I'm going to go ahead and drag out one of these guides, and again, it will snap to wherever the center is. There it is. And now if I move this over, I can just click. I can paste in my text. There we go. Want my text to be centered. The font size is a little small, so let's go ahead and make that a little bit larger. Make sure I have it selected. Did a Control A to select all and change that font size. It really does not like that font. So I'm going to choose a different font. We'll just go with, I would love Helvetica, but that's not on here. So let's just do a nice Arial black, sure. All right, so I have, boy, it doesn't want to do any fonts. All right, so I have my text there. Right now it's a, as you can see, the color is using what the previous foreground color was, which is that pumpkin spice color that we have, but it's blending in very nicely with the trees, and of course we don't want that. So before I showed you how you could fill with the foreground color by doing Alt and the backspace key, or Command Delete on the Mac. Now if we do the Control and the backspace, it will fill in with the background color, which in this case is the white. So we put that in there and got that done. I can actually now resize this by doing a Control T and then holding down the Shift and make that larger. And again, it'll keep it in proportion. So I can go ahead and fill that up, move it back to the center, put it where I want it. There we go. And to make it stand out, let's do this. Let's go ahead and create a new layer over our background. And I'm going to just go ahead and select the regular Marquee Tool. I'm just going to go ahead and grab some selection here. And instead of filling with the pumpkin spice color here, I'm going to just reset my default black and white. And I'm again going to fill that, this time again with the Alt Delete or Command Delete on the Mac. Control D will deselect. So I have this nice banner image. The black is a little dark, yes, I admit. So I'm actually going to bring down that opacity so that it just kind of darkens that area a little bit. There we go. And then we can actually choose multiply, which will probably not do much in this case, but there we go. So it makes it stand out a little bit better. So we still get the students sitting in the front there studying the nice image of Dallas Hall in the background, and then we have that kind of little area masked off for our title there. So again, if I want to go ahead and save this out, File, Export, Save to Web. I'm just, and there, oops, cancel. I don't know what I just did there. Let's try that again. Export, I'll export preferences. Save for web. Okay, so right now, if I did save this off, it would be incredibly large for my page. Right now it's at 500K, and you can see that right down here in this bottom corner. But if you look at the image size right now, it's at 2048, which is a little bit overkill for what we're looking to do. Again, it's actually over twice the size we need. So I'm going to go ahead and just type in here 980 for my pixels. And then you can actually have it say, oh, you know what, go ahead and sharpen it too when it shrinks it down like that. So there we go. I can go ahead and save that. And then I'm just going to call this one Depart of English JPEG. Save that off. All right, so we got a header image now. We have some slideshow graphics. I think we have a good start to begin with. The crop tool, setting up that ratio can be very handy in multiple ways. There is a drop down for doing like a 1-to-1. So if you want to make your get everything Instagram ready, you can just kind of do the crop there. It's also good for like headshots and stuff on your page. If you want all the headshots to be consistent, it's good to go ahead and pick a ratio that you're going to use for all the, say, department faculty. You're going to have a staff page and a faculty page, and you want headshots of everybody. It's good to pick a standard. So whether it's 1-to-1 or 5x7, whatever you decide, and just make sure that they're all consistently cropped at that same size. It will make your site look more polished, and also make it easier for you in the long run, so you can just kind of get them all together and crop them. So here we have that. I'm going to go ahead and close this. I don't need to save this. I need to escape to undo that crop. So I can go ahead and close that. No need to save. Now let's go over to Sitecore. Let's start adding some of these images. Let me make sure I'm still logged in. Good, looks like I am. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my media library here. I have a folder already set up in the images section. Sorry, no, site, there we go. In the site section, there we go. And there should be a, well, there was a demo folder. So we'll just go ahead and use the Sitecore training folder here. And I'm going to go ahead and create in this folder, I'm going to create a new media folder. And I'm going to call this slideshow. Click OK. And in this new folder, there it goes. Took a little while to refresh there. There we go. I can now upload files. Now there's two options here for uploading files. As you can see, there's the upload files and the upload files advanced. I will always upload using the upload files advanced. And the reason for that, actually there's a couple reasons. First, I like to get all my images together, usually like we've just done, and upload them all at once. So instead of just doing onesie twosies, I can go ahead and get a whole batch of them and get them done. The other reason, and probably the more important reason, to be honest, is when I select all these images and click open, it will give me the option to add alt text. So that way, if somebody has a screen reader or something like that to view your page, the screen reader will actually be able to read whatever's in that alt text. So this is good for accessibility and should be done always. So I'm going to just type in this case that this is the demo slide, or actually I'm going to type in homecoming. I'll just save time. And this one is demo 1 or demo 2, demo 3. This one's the Department of English. And go ahead and click upload. And it'll upload all those at the same time into that folder for you. So you can just let it run and you can do other things while that's doing that. We're going to just let that do its thing. There we go. One more. Okay. A little sluggish there. Sorry about that. All right, so we have all our slides nicely done in here. Now if I go to my content editor and go to home and go to my demo folder, there it is. I'm going to create a new page. And I'm just going to call this one slideshow demo. Please notice no spaces. There should be never any spaces in anything in the directory tree here. Click OK. All right, so I have a page set up for our slideshow. Now, of course, you will be probably adding your slideshow to an existing page. You wouldn't be creating something just special for the slideshow. But in this case, I don't have a page to put this on, so I'm going to start here. And let's do a slide demo. And there we go. I'm going to go ahead and save that. All right, so if I go over to my review, or sorry, publish and quick preview, we can see a demo or see how our demo page looks. Oh, it's beautiful. So we have the basic shell there. We have our sidebar navigation, our nice red bar here, and our heading with the slideshow here. If I click back on my page here, let's go ahead and before we do the slideshow, let's look at what the header image would look like. So that would be found under this section here for images. There's a background image. You can override the background image you want, but we're going to start off with the header image. I'm going to click Browse. I'm going to click on, to save time, I can just say recently uploaded by me, and it'll show all the images that I've just uploaded. Again, another great reason to do it, upload them all in batch. They're all right there. Click the Department of English. I'm going to hit select. There we go. I'll save this change. I will come back to my demo page and reload this preview. Ta-da! All right, so we have our nicely done Department of English page here. Now what I want to do is replace that with a slideshow image. So to do that, I'm going to come back to my desktop. I'm going to go ahead and clear this. Okay, go ahead and save. And then I'm going to come to my demo widgets folder here. And I want to add the marquee. I'm going to do the, give it a name, in this case, demo. All right, so this demo marquee basically sets up the framework for all of our slides. You can add a graphic to the footer. Most of this section is typically just left blank. Where all the magic happens is by putting in insert a marquee slide. So if you want a dozen slides, you will have to create a dozen marquee slide widgets. And in this case, it is very helpful to go ahead and name these. So I'm just going to do slide 1. Now, for future reference, what I would do is if it was, well, like homecoming, I would have that slide be called homecoming. Helps. I can rename it. It's not going to break anything by not having it spelled properly, but let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go ahead and do one more because we had 3 of those demo slides. And okay. All right, so now for each one of these slides, I will come in here and under the slide, I'll click Browse. Click on my recently uploaded by me. And it will hopefully refresh. There it goes. And go ahead and choose that one for that. Select that. Go ahead and save. Slide 2. Select the homecoming slide. Oh yes, go ahead and save the changes. All right, so I now have my 3 slides. What you'll also notice is underneath the insert image part is there's a place where you can put an image link. So you can actually have a link for each one of those slideshow images. So instead of just being like an ad or something like that, you can actually, when they click on it, direct them to wherever it'll find more information about whatever's on that slide. So incredibly helpful. So let's go ahead and save that one too. All right, so we have our widget and our marquee widget all built out with our 3 slides. Now what we want to do is add that to our page. So I'm going to come back to my slideshow demo page down here and go to presentation, and you'll see an area for the details. The details shows all the pieces that make up your page. So in this case, you can see we have a heading, our masthead, our nav bar, our one column with sidebar, which holds our body content and our main information on our page, and there's slide navigation. What we want to do in this case is to add a new piece to this layout. So I'm going to click Edit. I'm going to click on my controls, click Add, and under Project X, you'll see a bunch of widgets here. And so if you don't see it, if it's just renderings, it's under Renderings, Project X. Then under the widgets, you will find the marquee. There's also a Nemo slider. So there's a couple of different ones here. There's actually, as you can see, there's carousel is another type of slideshow. There's the Simmons marquee. So there's a couple of them there. So just find the right one for your area or the generic marquee one. Oops, clicked the wrong thing there. There we go. And in this case, I'm going to add it to the top X. So that is the area at the top of our page above where we have our breadcrumbs and stuff. There's an option here to open the properties dialog box right after. You don't have to check it, but it just basically saves you a mouse click or two. So if I hit select, I'll bring this up. So we've now added that widget to the page. Now we just need to tell it where to get its content. So that's the data source. And to do that, we click Browse. And then you'll scroll to your site, find your widgets. There's my marquee. I'll select that. And I will scroll to the bottom page here. Click OK. Click OK. Click OK. And third, fourth time's the charm. Click OK. There we go. Just going to go ahead and save that. And if I reload this page, what you'll see is our banner has moved away, and we now have this slideshow. So this is the marquee slide, and you can see it's not showing up quite right because the one we've selected. So let's go back. I'm going to click on my details, and what I'm going to do is show you how I'm going to add multiple of these slideshows to the same page using the same content, but that way you can see how they all look at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Edit, click on the controls, click Add. I'm going to go choose now the Nemo slider. There it is. Again, I'm going to add it to top X. Quick properties, select. Quick browse again. Home. Now this is a different widget, but I'm going to point it to the exact same content we had. So they're just going to render differently. Click OK. Click OK. OK. And OK. And let's go ahead and add one more here while we're at it. There we go. Again, I'm going to browse for the same content. All right, so now if I reload this page, so as you can see, we have several different ones kind of all loading. And this one, as you can see, has a next that allows you to go back and forth between their slides. But it is definitely designed for a smaller screen. And there's an area where you can add, for this one, the marquee here, you can add a block of text in the caption, and it will automatically show up in that sidebar area. This one is the one I'm looking for, but unfortunately it's showing up 3 times. It's not actually showing them as a slideshow, but showing them all up. And then this one is the department carousel, which is not talking properly to the widget. So these are examples of how different things can go wrong with this slideshow. And I show you this because just so you'll see it and you'll know how to fix it, because we have this happen all the time. So even though it's called marquee, most of the time what people really want is the Nemo slideshow. That one is the Nemo slider, sorry. That's what's showing here, but unfortunately it's not showing properly. And the reason for that is we're missing one little piece. And I'm trying to get them to fix it so that we don't have to do this manually. But just so you know, just like all of our other documentation for this, it's on our wiki page at wiki.smu.edu. You will just log in with your SMU ID and password. Go ahead and close that. And if you type in, if you type in using Sitecore, it'll bring you to the documentation. Under advanced topics, it's under using widgets and the Nemo slider. There's a bit of instruction here on how to do it, but this is the piece that we're missing. We need this little piece of JavaScript, or actually the CSS to basically have the content show properly. So, and to do that, we're going to take that, go back to our page, scroll on down to our page level CSS. Just click the edit HTML, paste that in, hit accept, save. Now that should be working. What am I missing here? Let's do this. I'm wondering if somebody updated the instructions and took a piece out. I'm going to search for Nemo. There we go. There's another one. Aha, see this JavaScript right here? We don't have that on our page. So let's see. I bet if I add that, I think somebody took some sections off the other instructions. somebody edited and took out a whole page. Fortunately, one of the downsides of a wiki is people can remove and add stuff to it. And so I'll just have to go back after this class and I'll reinsert that text for y'all. But that way you can get to the wiki, you'll be able to copy and paste that in, and hopefully I can get them to go ahead and fix the that information. So let's go ahead and do footer level scripts here. I'm going to go ahead and paste that JavaScript in. Click OK. Hit save. All right, reload that. I bet now it's gone. So let me go ahead and go to my details. I'll remove those other sliders. Now, what I'll tell you is a lot of the widgets that have any kind of functionality, like a button or something that you have to click, will not work in the preview mode. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. That was the one I wanted. Let's go ahead and remove that and add that back in. Add the Nemo slider. Sorry about that. Got a little happy quick in there. So click on the Nemo slider. Again, we'll put that into the top X portion. Open that. Select. Browse for our content. So as I was saying, not all of those will appear properly in the preview. So when I finish this and then click save and click preview, what should happen, or shouldn't happen, but an expected result is the slideshow will not show up at all, which it doesn't. So what I want to do is go ahead and preview this in another browser. And to do that, I need to stage this. So I'm going to go over my review and hit stage. That's staged. I'm going to click on this demo link here to the page. I'm going to copy that URL. And I'm going to open up another web browser to test it and verify it. And you should be doing this anyway. So you always want to, before you take your site live, go ahead and preview it in another browser in which you're not logged into Sitecore. And that way you can see if there are any things that are not expected showing up. So let's go ahead and paste that in. Oh, and I need to make sure my demo page is staged. So this one is staged, but make sure that this page is also staged. Yeah, if the parent's not staged, it will not show up. There we go. Okay, and now the last thing I need to do is make sure that my widgets are published. So I am going to just go ahead and publish that whole folder. And I don't need to do public, but just go ahead and publish everything in that folder, get all my widgets published. Great. Close that. Come back to here and reload this. Whoa, not doing math, just reload. Ta-da! So we have our slideshow there, and if I move my mouse over, you should see, yeah, there's the little advanced icons. So we can hit back and forth. So unfortunately, that I admit that is a downside. So it does take a little extra work to see and make sure that it works in the other sections. But as you can see, it does produce a very nice slideshow for your page. But it does take a little bit of work. So we do know that this is an area for us to work on and improve to make this widget is a really good widget, but to make it a little more accessible for people to be able to put that stuff in, basically have that JavaScript and the CSS to be applied automatically would be very helpful, and so that you don't have to manually do that. And if we can get that to actually preview on the preview page instead of having to stage it, would also be very helpful. So there's a couple of things there to think about and work with. Now, we did put this in top X, which is this top section. And you can see it's, I have my breadcrumbs here and my heading 1 right here, and then my navigation here. If I was to want to put this in a different section, say where the content is, I can do that also. So it doesn't have to be stuck at the top of the slideshow, at the top of your page. So if I come back over to my demo page here and go back to my presentation, click on the layout details, click on that slider, I can actually change this to one column. Click OK. Click OK. Go ahead and save that, and we do need to, if we want to see it work, we'll stage it. And we come back over to Chrome here, click on that demo page. You'll see that now it is where the body content of text is. So it can actually show up in that section. But wait, there's more. So we can actually have it even show up in our side navigation. By putting in sidebar. Again, stage it. Come back over here, reload. So now, in this case, we made a very wide slideshow, which does not work at all in the side navigation. But we can, if we format our slides properly, we could actually have a square or a more rectangular portrait rectangle in there to actually provide information too. So we're not just limited to having the slideshow show up at the very top of the page. We can put it over here with information about our upcoming programs and stuff like that. I know a lot of people try to put like a calendar or something like that, but just think about using that space. Would a graphic that rotates in there be a little more eye-catching than just a list of text? Something to think about. So let's talk about one more thing. I'm going to go ahead and move that back up to the top of the page just so we can do one more thing with it. Okay. So in our slideshow, and I can go ahead actually and hit stage. All right. If I come back over to my slideshow here, and I have this information about homecoming. And if we look at our main SMU homepage, that's not it. That would be it. There's information on here about, there it is. And this one's actually linked. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this link location and come over to this slide. And as you know, you can insert a link. So I'm going to go ahead and just paste that in right there. Now, since this is a in Sitecore, the best thing would be to do is do the insert Sitecore link and link directly within the tool to that page, which we now know what the path is. But you'll also notice there's an insert media link. So if you wanted to link directly to a PDF file or something like that that's in your library, you can do that also. And then there's an insert external, which you can actually do too. But in this case, I want to go to alumni and homecoming. Now that I know the path, I'm going to say insert link. I'm going to click on content, home, and go to my alumni and click on homecoming. Click insert. I can go ahead and save this. Now, since this is a widget, we don't use the review and review and hit stage. Widgets do need to be published. So I will come here and go publish item. I just need to publish this one item. Click publish. Yes, go ahead. And great. Now that that's done, I should be able to reload this in Chrome. There's my slideshow. And when I get to this one, notice my cursor changes into the click button or click icon, and I click that, and it should be, oh, it's thinking about it. Waiting. There it goes. It's too quick happy there. So, and it takes you directly to the homecoming page. So again, you can add those layers and links in. So there's a couple of things about creating banners and slideshow images for your Sitecore pages to go ahead and add some more features. Why don't we go ahead and looking at the time when we have some time for some questions. Zach, do we have anything from the audience there?
I do not at the moment. We don't have any questions currently, but if you do have any questions after this is complete, feel free to send us an email at help@smu.edu and our help desk can go ahead and see if they can answer those questions for you. And also, as always, feel free to call the help desk at 214-768-4357. And we here at the training team are also available at ittraining@smu.edu. So feel free to drop us a line there if you need to. Thank you to everybody who's decided to join us today, and I hope this has been helpful to you, and have a great day. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a good one.